Oh, you have a little ducky tail. You got a little ducky tail.
It's a ducky tail if it's in the back.
Oh, well, you got a front ducky.
I got a front duck. I look tan.
You do. You really got burnt.
I did. I got scorched. It's finally going away. That's for another episode.
That is.
Today on Skip Town All-Stars, we have a very special story about grinder outages.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to that one.
Turns out it's an event you may not expect. Knocking down the servers at Grindr.
Wow. Okay.
Yep,
Need to hear what happened there.
And I'm just going to tease that because the biggest part of this episode we are excited to present is Chattanooga, Tennessee. We finally made it. Let's roll.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to blow up your comfort zone at the tender age of 50? Well, we did just that. When our last kid went off to college, we hit the road in search of a new hometown. Now we bounce from city to city and bring you along for the ride. This is the Skip Town All-Stars podcast.
What's up, All-Stars? Welcome back to another episode of Skip Town All-Stars. We're very excited to be with you today. How you doing, Trixie?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really well. I'm very much looking forward to this episode. We had a wonderful time in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I cannot wait to share it with all of you.
Yeah.
But before we do that, just a quick reminder, we really love your input, your support for our show. So if you could continue to share it with a friend, share our YouTube page, like an episode on YouTube if you happen to come across it and you're watching us there. It's always nice for that thumbs up. And if you happen to be on Spotify, give us a little star rating, and Apple Podcasts. We always love the written reviews. So thank you for tagging along with us. We always love to share our experiences with you, and this right now is another good one.
I like it. A little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, gotta get that stuff done.
That's right. All the links are in the description below. Please click on a few of those if you could. Let's get into it. Chattanooga, Tennessee. We mentioned it way back in our Knoxville episode. I guess it wasn't way back, but it does feel like it was a while ago since we did the Knoxville show.
Yeah, we did that Knoxville show in like April or May, maybe?
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I'm not sure.
I think it was June.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was Knoxville in June?
Mm-hmm. We're really dating the show right now. But
wow, I've been in a time warp.
yeah.
There's a time capsule somewhere, and clearly I found it.
We've had a lot going on since then.
When we went to Knoxville, James had mentioned that he wanted to visit Chattanooga. He drove through it, and we've gotten a lot of input from people that Chattanooga is starting to get on the radar. Who would have thought? Chattanooga. Would you ever think of Chattanooga on a radar?
I mean, it was bubbling maybe 5 or 8 years ago. It started to make little glimpses on top 10 lists here and there.
Wow.
People loved it because, as we'll discuss, there are a lot of outdoors to be had nearby. And it's kind of a progressive city in that the city itself actually owns the internet there. So Chattanoogans, I'm assuming that's what they're called, actually get their internet from a public service, and it's fast. It's broadband. It's I don't know if it's exactly broadband, but it's high-speed Wi-Fi.
And it's free.
I think it's free, or you pay like a public utility fee, but it's
like AT&T Spectrum, Comcast, any of that.
There's no staggered packages. There's no $120 for this and then $30 for grandma's package.
And it's a big deal because there are billboards everywhere on the freeway that say the internet belongs to Chattanooga. I was like, oh, okay, so this is a thing here.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, I had driven through it, spent about 2 or 3 hours there just driving around, got to appreciate the downtown, and was fully intent on dragging you back. So I'm finally glad it happened.
Yeah, and I always value James's opinion because he and I really do see things through similar eyes. So when he told me, you'll love Chattanooga, I knew I had to see it, and I knew I probably would. So I was really glad that we were finally going to visit that city. And let's just start with the first day we got there. Mm-hmm. We generally will plan our trips ahead of time, meaning like we'll have the hotel secured, we'll have the it pretty much mapped out as what we're going to do each day. And I don't know why, but for some reason on this trip, we just decided to wing it. And it really did not work well for us.
It was a callback to some of our earliest episodes. I say episodes 1 through 30. We were just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, not planning as much back then, and it felt good. I felt like, as we were hitting the hotel reservation about an hour out of town, I felt like we had scored ourselves a very good deal.
How'd that feel on this trip?
It did not feel that great once we got to Chattanooga, because we tried to book, what was it, the Chattanooga Choo Hotel or something like that?
Yes.
The chalet it was like the chalet at the Choo or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because the minute I hit go on the app, it booked it. It took the money out of my account, and within 30 seconds, I got a phone call from the hotel saying, yeah, I don't know why the app let you do that, but we are fully booked for the night.
And so we thought to ourselves, okay, no big deal. I mean, it's an iconic hotel in Chattanooga. It's the hotel. And it wasn't expensive at all. So we thought to ourselves, okay, no big deal. If their iconic hotel is very well priced, then it's fine. Like, we'll go anywhere. We'll go to the local Hampton Inn nearby. We knew that we wanted to stay in the downtown area. And we proceeded to call
every hotel
in the area, and they were all booked or really overly priced, like $250 a night for a 2.5-star hotel. And we were like literally scratching our heads. What is going on? Is there a convention in Chattanooga? What's happening? So we ended up sitting in the car for an hour in downtown Chattanooga trying to get a hotel, and ended up finding a Hampton Inn like 30 minutes out or 20 minutes out.
It was about 9 miles, so about 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, and it was kind of a bummer. We were both disappointed that we went so far out. But in the end, it actually was okay, because that area we were in was a very popular area, which we had no idea. Because normally when you book a hotel outside the city, it's always a hotel outside the city, and there's a reason for it. Like,
yeah, you get a scenic view of a parking lot.
Yeah, and this wasn't the case. So it ended up working out really well. But so once we got the hotel arranged and we got that hammered out, we were driving around and we saw they had like a block party going on. There's a music festival. There were vendors everywhere. People were congregating, and we're like, yes, we are going to get like a Tennessee, live music, street festival experience. We were so excited, and we parked the car, get out, and what was it?
Well, it was not banjos and moonshine.
No, not at all.
What was it?
It was Latin music in Spanish. It wasn't even Latin music like in English. It was legitimately Latin music in Spanish, and we didn't have barbecue ribs or chicken wings or brisket for our food. We ended up having gyros.
We ended up having gyros. It felt like we had stopped in a suburb, just maybe not a suburb, but a section of Chicago somewhere.
It was so weird because we're in Chattanooga. We're fully expecting the whole cowboy experience here. We're at an outdoor music festival, and it's all in Latin. I literally looked around. I'm like, is there a hidden camera somewhere? Like, they're waiting for our reaction.
Well, it does speak to the progressive nature of Chattanooga. It's a blue dot in the middle of a red state, but turns out, if you know us and you've seen us on social media, you can pretty much guarantee that we are not the lambada types.
No, we're not. So, but we did sit. We ate our gyro. We listened to some music, and then we decided to walk around. That's what we did. So we walked around the city. But yeah. So that was night one.
That was night one.
And all I kept thinking was, okay, there's got to be country music somewhere in the next few days for us.
Yeah. It was hot. It was sweltering. It was hot even at night. I remember that.
Agreed. So Chattanooga during the summer is very warm.
It seems like everywhere we've been in the last 3 months has been sweltering.
Yeah, but... Yeah.
Do you think humans are going to have to be nocturnal?
Ooh.
You know how they do, like,
That's a good
in
question.
certain, certain Arabic countries, they all come out at night, have, you know,
Their parties
yeah,
at night.
smoke the hookah, have a little fun, do a bit of dancing.
Because
and
it's
then-
just so hot during the day.
Yeah.
Americans could end up turning into nocturnal creatures, and all of our social events will be after 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Which I think it kind of sort of happens now, except on the weekends.
Well, it definitely happens for you because you're a night owl. I'm in trouble.
You are in trouble. I feel for you.
Yeah. I'm going to need a massive siesta every day. You know, night one, we regrettably drove back to our hotel that was 9 miles outside of the city, feeling like we were missing out a little bit. The Choo Hotel was, you know, that was something we were both looking forward to, and it was a bit of a dud not being able to stay there. We really didn't know what we were missing until the next day. So we get up early and we decide we're going to hit Chattanooga hard. It's a weekend and we have all day. So we drive back into the downtown area and we decide again to walk it. We did it the night before, but it was getting kind of dark, and Chattanooga does have a homeless issue. So, you know, he and I just didn't feel like it was smart to be walking around. It was getting dark and there were quite a few homeless people walking around with us. So we thought, okay, next day, Saturday, let's hit it hard, and we did. We had breakfast at a fantastic place called Ruby Sunrise. Ruby Sunshine.
Oh, was it Sunshine?
It's Ruby Sunshine.
It might be Sunrise because I was just waking up.
It's not. It's Ruby Sunshine. I think they actually have them. I think it's a very small chain. Like I think there's one somewhere in New Orleans. Like maybe. I don't know. I think there are a couple scattered throughout the South.
Like the New Orleans flair.
There was definitely Creole flavors and stuff in a lot of their lunch items.
My favorite part was the mimosa flight. So they had this amazing mimosa flight. And I don't normally I'll do a mimosa once in a while, like not when we're alone. Like I'll do it if we're with a group of people and we're celebrating something. But they had this like really cool mimosa flight that had the most interesting ingredients. Like one was lavender and honey. One was pomegranate and like basil. The other one was pineapple and I don't know if it was
Guava?
No, it wasn't guava. It was pineapple and something else. And then the fourth one was that blue thing. What's that blue thing called that they
I think they said blue carousel.
Yeah, whatever that was. It was a blue liqueur.
It's like an island flavor.
Yeah, and it was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but the whole flight itself was pretty interesting. So I totally dug that. And that was a great way to start that morning.
Yeah, it put you in a good mood, and you had forgotten all about the choo-choo mishap. So.
No, not until we walked to it. So
that's right.
Here's something that we learned about Chattanooga. Why don't you tell everybody what Saturdays in downtown Chattanooga look like?
Saturdays in downtown Chattanooga, at least the day we were there, and what we're told is usually weekends, it's pretty sparse. I mean, it's not a lot of people walking around. There were no standing room only shops or anything like that. We walked from parts of the town, the downtown area. Weren't a tremendous amount of people on the sidewalks, but it was hot in a way. But from the people you actually asked, they said no, this is kind of like how it is on the weekends here.
Did we clock? Am I wrong in 7 miles? Did we clock 7 miles?
I think all in that day, yeah.
Yeah, so we walked around the entire downtown area. And I kept asking you, where is everyone? Where is everyone? So when we walked into a shop, a lot of the shops were open. Like I'd say 85% of the stores were open. Mm-hmm. And there were a few that were closed. And I walked into the one shop and I asked this woman who was the shop owner, where is everyone? And she didn't even understand what I was asking. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, the streets are pretty empty. There were very few cars, very few people walking around. I just thought, is there something going on that we weren't aware of? And she just looked at me and said, this is Chattanooga on the weekend. And she explained that the downtown is really a Monday through Friday downtown. And when I asked her, well, where is everyone on the weekends? She said, oh, they're all hiking or they're whitewater rafting. The Chattahoochee River is nearby. There are lots of lakes. So I was super happy. I got to be honest with you. When I heard that, I thought to myself, oh, if I move here, I can have this whole downtown area to myself on the weekends. Like, I don't need to fight a crowd to get anywhere. This is my place. Downtown is for me on the weekends. I don't have to come here Monday through Friday.
You better wear sneakers though, because as we found, it's not just consecutive streets of shops or anything like that. It's pockets of things everywhere.
Yeah,
And
why don't
so-
you explain that downtown? Because it's different than a typical downtown. It looks like downtown. It feels like a downtown. There are buses, there are tall buildings, but it's not a typical downtown in that everything is in close proximity.
Right. So like if you're from Los Angeles and you go to Melrose Avenue, you know you can spend the whole day walking up and down Melrose Avenue. There are other places we've been to around the country. Everybody in Laurel, Mississippi goes to their downtown. There are plenty of streets right in that area where everything is. This is not so much like that. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they've repurposed old industrial buildings. Remember, this is a train town. It's a timber town. And, you know, for the longest time, I mean, a lot of these buildings were run down and they're big and they're far apart and they have, you know, they used to have rail yards running between them and everything. So even though it's been repurposed for more of an urban centric vibe, there's still a lot of space between between a lot of the buildings, but then certain areas of town. You know, you'll walk a quarter of a mile and then get to a few more shops, a record store, a restaurant or two, a cafe, what have you, and then you'll walk a quarter of a mile to half a mile, and then you'll find another little section.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Like by the time, so this woman and a girl that was working with her were telling me like where to go, and they were really, honestly, it was more like, okay, go a mile down, and right there will be this cute little pocket. Then you want to go, or you can go a half mile this way, and there's another cute pocket. Or go over here. This is like, you know, the only place that we have this bread company, and it's all that whole entire area near the bread company is adorable. Okay, we did all of that until there was just one part that we couldn't walk to, that we had to drive. It was over the river. So all of those little pockets in the downtown area, which I swear was like the four corners of that city, we were pretty exhausted. By the time we were walking to our car, like my legs were legitimately hurting. We had been walking for hours at that point. It was 95 degrees out. So that was a little challenging, just because if I'm going to be in a downtown area, it'd be so nice. And I've talked about this before, to be able to like kind of just walk to like everything in that downtown area. This isn't that. This is a get in your car and drive to that pocket of the downtown, or get in your car and drive to the other pocket. I mean, you could walk, but it's a walk. So, and we walked it, so we know.
Maybe next time you could borrow some roller skates from the indoor roller rink.
Okay, all right, we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it. I know that was your favorite part.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so listen, the Chattanooga Choo Choo, you know, if you're a boomer, you know it's a song. If
You
you're,
just planted that song in so many people's heads.
I know. If you're Gen X, you're kind of familiar with the song. If you're millennial, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You're gonna have to look it up. But it's a famous song, so hence the hotel name. And we didn't realize how much we were missing until we went back to the hotel on Saturday, as we were walking the entire city. So this hotel has a roller rink in it. And then it has a comedy club in it. And it has a huge bar that's indoors, outdoors. It has a DJ that plays for hours, just playing the DJ,
Yeah.
just playing cool music. Then the hotel, that's just, did I mention that that's just the front of the hotel? Like that's just the entrance.
Yeah, I mean,
the
that's
roller
just the
rink.
entrance to the complex there.
Yeah.
Games and all that. Like people were
Yeah.
playing volleyball and cornhole and all that.
It was amazing. So you walk into the hotel, the entrance is the roller rink, the bar, you walk through the roller rink, then you have an outdoor area where it's like a courtyard in some ways, but it's not a courtyard because it's huge. And they have cornhole and all these outdoor games. There's a DJ out there. Then they also have, is the right word boxcars? Is that the right word? Like old boxcars?
I think they are. I mean, they look more like slightly more modern rail cars.
Oh, rail cars. That's the word.
But because
Okay.
boxcars are
No,
the
you're right.
really
Yeah.
old,
They're rail cars.
like
'Cause-
Santa Claus train set.
Yeah. Okay, so
Type.
they're rail cars, and they're old rail cars, legit, they're real rail cars in this courtyard area, right? So they're chained off. You can see the inside of the windows. They were obviously working rail cars at one point. Then beyond that is the hotel, which is all boxcars.
Yeah.
And all the rooms are in the boxcars. So the boxcars have now been repurposed into hotel rooms.
Yep.
It was phenomenal. And I was so mad. I was stomping my feet that we couldn't get in, that it was booked solid. Everyone's around the pool listening to the DJ. It was awesome. I mean, just really cool. I really wanted you to get on roller skates. You just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. We had a what are those called? Inline skates? What were those skates? Rollerblades.
Yeah.
We had a rollerblade bad date when we were first dating. So I'm just not cut out for those types of sports. So I'm more like, I'm just more of a brute sport person. And roller skating requires finesse and panache and 1,000 other French words that I don't possess. So moving on.
Fun. It would have been fun.
It would have not been fun. I would have been scraped and banged up.
So that is like a really cool part of the city where this hotel is. And overall, I mean, like in that whole area, even the, clearly the different pockets we went to, they're all a little different, but the city is pretty hip.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a hipness there. I was expecting more music. I was expecting to hear more music
too.
as we were walking around.
Yeah.
In Knoxville, you'll get that in the downtown area. Some of the restaurants there and everything. In the square, I did not really, other than our Latin music, I mean, we didn't really find much. I know there are bars that have bands playing at night or what have you, but there wasn't any, it was not Nashville in that way. It was not even Knoxville in that way. So that was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, if you've ever been to Nashville, then you know that anytime during the day when you're walking down, it's Broadway, right? In Nashville, I think that's the main drag. I think it's called Broadway. Everyone has their bar doors open, windows open, and there's live music. So you can just walk anytime and hear live music. Knoxville is very much the same way. And that was the beauty of Knoxville when we first went there. Like, wow, you can just hear music almost any time of the day. There were no bars that were open with bands playing or even a single musician with a guitar in Chattanooga. That was really disappointing. I thought the same thing. I thought, well, I had my Latin music the night before. I'm definitely going to get my country, twang, like rockabilly, whatever. I had nothing, got nothing.
You were not country fried.
No, absolutely not.
You were just fried. We were tired of walking around in the heat, so we decided what better way to spend the rest of the day than driving around and looking at neighborhoods, which is something we do best. So we crossed it's the Chattahoochee River, right?
Yep.
And we went through a little section in town called Red Bank. Great suburb just over the river outside of downtown Chattanooga. Houses in the, if I remember, $350 to $550. There are some that are more expensive or what have you. Not a ton of property. It was pretty tight quarters. But am I wrong in remembering that we turned around in a Whole Foods or something like that?
I think there was a Whole Foods near there.
Or Sprouts at the very least, something like that. So
it's that kind of area where the houses are closer together, more neighborhood style. Lots of trees though. So let me just make this abundantly clear. When you're in Chattanooga, you are in the Appalachian Mountains. You are in the mountains. I have to stress that because it was not made clear to me until we arrived. There are trees.
Who made that clear for you?
You did.
I did.
Thank
Okay,
you.
go on. Just want to point out my travel podcaster skills.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
Trees everywhere. You were legitimately in the Appalachian Mountains. And it hasn't been overdeveloped. So even in this area that had a Sprouts nearby or a Whole Foods nearby, houses were close to each other, but they're separated by many, many trees. It's really so pretty, even the neighborhoods that are situated like that. And the one thing that I actually learned about James is he likes this style of house. And every time we see it, he goes crazy for it. So I had to actually look it up. And it's called an A-frame house or a shed house or a contemporary 70s house. So let me paint the picture for you. It's all wood house, but the wood is going usually vertical, and it's a funky design. Like the roof won't be your typical roof. It may be like slanted on one side and like lower on the other. And it's usually like a brown color or a gray color. And it's very modern looking, but like very 70s looking. So every time we've seen one in our travels, he always says, oh my gosh, I love that style. And I've never been able to like know what it is. And so finally, when we were there, I'm like, I need to figure out what this style is. So I think what I ended up doing is I took a picture of one of the houses, then I threw it in Google and was like, what is this style? And it's an A-frame 70s contemporary or a shed style.
Whoa, that's a lot of description. But it's not like your typical A-frame, like we're used to seeing those big straight A cabins in the woods or whatever.
Yeah.
The modern looking cabins. It does have sort of other planes.
Oh, yes.
For lack of a better word.
Yeah, like the roof doesn't meet in an A. Like one may come up at an angle, one will come down. It's really...
angular.
Yes. I was going to say symmetrical,
I like an angular house.
Asymmetrical, like just, different.
Yeah.
For sure.
I like a little bit of architecture, especially out there in the woods. Nice
Those
and
houses
rustic.
are hard to find.
I've had one on my list on homes.com for like 3 months, and we couldn't get up there. And the thing sold. They took like $40,000 off of it. We'll get to that area in a minute. But
he was boohooing over that. Like seriously, like I had to hear about the blue house.
I showed it to you.
Months before we went there, and then we go there, and the house is sold, but he still wants to go by the blue house and mourn it. So I was like,
see what I missed.
Let's go mourn the blue house.
So we'll talk about that area in a minute. But after sort of fully exploring Red Bank, and then eventually it starts winding you northward. So at this point, I think we're on the northeast side of Chickamauga Lake, which feeds into, how about that?
Impressive.
I know.
It just came right out.
I know. I've been practicing it. So, and I looked at the phonetic spelling on Wikipedia.
Wow, very good.
Yeah. So we went up that way. Up there is an area called Hixon, and I was very excited to see that because in my view, as I was looking at houses there on homes.com, it seemed like you can get a lot of house for a very good price there. And I had a bunch of them starred and hearted or whatever in all the different apps. And as we were driving up there, it had been a long day for you.
I fell asleep. Just say what happened. If you know me and you've been listening to the show, once I get in that passenger seat and I've had a meal, it's kind of over.
Yeah, you were whisked away into Never Never Land by the soothing sounds of the Subaru Outback. And so anyway, you fell asleep, and I was so excited to finally get up to Hixon. But as we drove out of Red Bank and up toward that way, it quickly became apparent that there were not going to be a lot of options for us up in that area. And it had less to do with the houses. There are some really nice ones on the lake. Really, really nice ones back in like neighborhoods tucked away. But the main strip that takes you up in that direction, just like filled to the brim with sort of rundown strip malls, dollar bargains, basically everything that we didn't like about Louisville, Kentucky when we were there. So I did not see any strip clubs, but close.
Got it.
It was just, it was kind of a rundown area. I was expecting more. And I could not imagine driving to a nice house in that area and then having to drive that direction to go into town or whatever. So ultimately, I knew before we even got there, we probably were not going to be putting in offers in Hixon anywhere.
Okay, well, I didn't see a lot of that.
No. You did not.
Thank you, though. Thank you for weeding that out. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. You said, well, if you thought it was important, you would have woken me up.
I did say that, and he didn't wake me up.
I did not wake you up. So, not a lot to see in Hixon, but we did go up toward a section called Soddy Daisy, and that's where the real mountain vibe came into play.
Oh, yeah. So in this particular area,
it got rural and it got
quick
high altitude.
Yeah, and it's very windy. You're in the Appalachian Mountains. I mean, Chattanooga is in the Appalachian Mountains, so you're going even higher up. I mean, at one point, James points and he says, that's where we're going. And it was the top of the mountain. Yeah. And we got there And I knew we were there when the car was no longer on a 45-degree angle. And I could not do it. I said to him, there's no way I could ever live up here. We looked at the houses. They were nice, but not nice enough for me to do that. It just was too challenging coming up and down the mountain. I didn't find, like, I don't know. I know there were some people that just would love that. It's just not for me. It's just, I think about the winter and sliding down and trying to get up and just, I started getting sick. Like
you were worried about the hairpin turns in the summer. So how's winter going to be?
Bad. Yeah, there were no guardrails.
So after that, you had had enough for one day. Actually, that wasn't true. I had enough for one day because I didn't get a nap. And so we headed back toward the hotel.
Yeah, and it made me think about a conversation that we had prior. I think we had it with Phil about location versus hotel. And this was a great city, I feel like, where that came into play. Like, I remember when we had that conversation, I believe you said area was more important than hotel. Phil said area was more important than staying at a nice hotel. But in this particular city, I felt like the hotel would have been a nice experience.
Staying downtown?
Yeah, staying downtown or staying at someplace like on the river would have been cool. There are a lot of bridges in Chattanooga, really cool bridges, made you feel like a little bit like you were in Covington, Kentucky. And even staying like near one of the bridges with the water would have been like more picturesque. So for me, as we're driving back to our hotel, I'm thinking like, okay, this is definitely one of those times where I think hotel would have made a difference for the stay. Like, it would have been more memorable. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I would say if we had stayed in town, if we were able to find a room last minute like we wanted to, for a price we were willing to spend, we would have had a great time walking around, getting dinner, getting a drink, whatever, as opposed to driving out to the suburbs and having a choice between Chick-fil-A or Twin Peaks.
Yeah, you're right. Those were the choices. But the area we did stay in, But the area we did stay in, we later found out was a really popular area called East Ridge. So when we would, meet locals and talk, and they would say, "Oh, where are you staying?" And we would tell them East Ridge. "Oh, that area is so nice," and it was a nice area. But then the next day we decided, like, okay, we've done downtown. We did, we did a drive, went to the west part of the city, right?
Yep, west and north.
Yeah. So let's try something a little different. Let's go south.
Yeah, so we went south, but first in East Ridge, we did look at a few houses.
Yeah,
and
we did.
Those were all great. They were totally in our range. They had not quite the amount of property that we wanted, but the blue house that I really, really loved that sold a few months back is there. And it turns out it was actually it was a great area.
Yeah,
and I can see why it's popular.
The one thing that we both realized right away about Chattanooga, and if you visit it, you will notice this as well, it has not been overdeveloped. He talked about Chick-fil-A, he talks about the Dollar General. Yes, those were obviously there, and you could see them, and they're in certain areas, but it wasn't an overdeveloped city like an Auburn. It wasn't an overdeveloped city like a Murfreesboro. Where else have we been there? Wasn't an overdeveloped city like a Greenville. It still felt like you were in Tennessee and you were in the country. Like, it still felt like you were in the country.
Yeah. There was enough differentiation between all the houses. Even a few of the what are they, planned communities or subdivisions or whatever.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't even know that they were.
Yeah, even a few of them were like, you could tell it was kind of like, we ran into that, I think, before in, where was it? I guess Savannah, outside of Savannah, there are some developments where it's like the houses look different enough. Outside of Greenville, near where our cousin Doreen lives.
Yeah.
So in that area, it's like, it's a community, but not all the houses are sort of stamped out and all looking the same.
And on top of each other.
Yeah.
So, that was apparent here, that not all the houses were on top of each other. So his love for the blue house, when we got there, I get it.
Did not fade.
No, totally got why he was boohooing about it.
Yeah. It was at the top of a mountain. It was nice. And the mountain wasn't too high for you. You'd feel comfortable driving down it in the snow. It would have been fine.
It's true, it would have been.
It was a good house.
So after he saw the blue house, did his little tear drive, we decided to check out an area. I'm going to say the name wrong. I've been saying it wrong. Like the whole time we were there.
Apison.
Thank you. Apison. So we look on the map, right? And James pulls up a couple houses, and the first thing I say to him is like, whoa, this is far from downtown Chattanooga.
Yeah.
And you remember your response?
Good.
No, that wasn't your response.
Oh, no, I don't remember
No.
my response then.
20 minutes. He said it's just 20
Oh,
minutes.
it's just 20 minutes.
And on the map, it looks so much further. So we leave and we're driving and we get to the first house. And okay, first of all, driving there is kind of crazy because
Was it 20 minutes?
it was, in fact, 20 minutes, but it didn't feel like 20 minutes. It felt like 5 minutes because the drive is so beautiful. So that is another thing. So go into these different areas. Did I forget to mention that the drive is absolutely breathtaking? I mean, sure, you see some double wide trailers, you see some shacky houses, but just the aesthetics of the mountain is just so beautiful. So going to this area felt like 5 minutes. Like we stop at the very first house and I'm like, we're here already? I cannot believe it. This area is unbelievable.
It really is.
No, it's like, it's insane. There's nothing there, but then there are houses there. It's like in the middle of nowhere, but not, because it's only 20 minutes outside of Chattanooga. I don't know.
There are a few little country stores and everything.
It's just like,
Let's talk about the house we saw.
That was
it was like
yeah.
the first house we saw. We went up a driveway. It was like what, on 5 acres or something like that. And it
with
was
an
like
additional 6 next to it. So a total
with
of
the
11.
with the chance to buy an additional 6.
so
and how much was that house? $550, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, $550K on 5 acres and a windy driveway, winding to where you cannot see the house from the street.
Not at all. The driveway itself, if I had to guess, was, I don't know, like, would you say the driveway itself was probably 4 blocks?
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, just to get
like
up to the
regular,
house.
like standard
City
size city blocks.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe 3.
3 to 4 blocks, sure.
And the front of the house is one of those rancher gates. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's a rancher gate. Oh my gosh. The gate obviously was open. And we drive up this windy driveway. It's just trees everywhere. And greeting us is a big deer standing right in front of the house. Like, it was just like, hi, I've been waiting for you.
Yep, chewing tobacco on the front porch waiting for us in a rocking chair.
Incredible. I said, this is our house. Like, I literally said, this is our house. And go ahead, talk about the house, because it was so
Well, it had a wraparound porch.
It did.
Ceilings were a bit low, which you did not like.
No, we're tall people.
No, but it was a 2-level, and the space was a good size. I remember the square footage was good. It did ring a little bit. It was bigger, but it rang a little bit like that house we went to see in the woods in Knoxville, where the floor plan was just so small on every floor that it had all this square footage, but you were so closed off from whatever the rest of the family was doing on another floor.
Look, so clearly the open floor plan was not popular when this house was built. It was 2,200 square feet. It just was, again, divided oddly with a lot of walls. But
it was beautiful, though. And they had that.
It was absolutely stunning.
They had that work garage or whatever.
They did.
They actually had the hangers for like grapes, for like wine.
So they clearly were growing grapes on the property. The vines were still there. It was just breathtaking. That's like the only word I can really use. Like, to find this house was everything that James and I have been talking about for 2 years. Like, this is the place. And the funny thing about it is when I say that it was like in the middle of nowhere, although it was 20 minutes outside, here's an indication of it being in the middle of nowhere. So we are driving to this house and there's a police officer just parked like in I don't even know, gravel.
It was like on a corner lot.
Yeah, corner lot that was just.
Yeah, corner gravel lot.
Yeah. And so I make a joke to James like, oh, he's going to follow us. And he did. And he followed us right to this house. So we go up the driveway and we're hanging out and we're checking out the house, this and that. We get out of the car, we're there to see the house. And sure enough, I think we were there maybe 20 minutes and he comes pulling up the driveway.
Yep. And
I was
there's
like,
no
oh.
mistaking why he was there. There's only one thing you can do going up that driveway, and that's you're coming to check out this house.
Yeah. And he was like just letting us know that he was there. And I was like, do I need to go talk to him?
Yeah. I think he was just making his presence known.
Oh, he did.
There's clearly a for sale sign at the very front of the driveway, and
Yeah.
the house was empty, so it's not like anybody was occupying it. We knew that from the photos.
Yeah.
But he
So
made
that-
his presence known.
was
And then
that-
we saw him on the way out.
We did. Yeah, I gave him a little wave. I didn't. I didn't.
You did not.
I did not.
Don't poke the bear.
No, I do not. I'm very obedient and lawful person. So no, I did find it to be funny that it's like a small town feel in a big city, and you still have like police that are patrolling in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. We went to check out at least 2 other houses there. We found
did.
another one of my, what are they, contemporary A-frame styles?
Yeah.
That one we could only see that one from photos from the street.
It was so buried in the trees, and the driveway was again very long. And from the photos, it looked like somebody was actually living there. I think we even saw a couple cars. So
There
we
was a
didn't want-
pickup truck in the driveway, yeah.
That's
So,
right. There was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, was it that house or the other house that had the pickup truck? So it was
Yeah.
that house, correct?
But definitely an area where we could envision ourselves. Like, we are loving Apison.
Okay. Yeah, that was our place. Like we left there, and we were both pretty much like jumping up and down. Like, I can't believe we found our place. Like, how does this exist? There's an airport nearby. We can have our 5 acres. It could feel like a retreat. There's still a downtown area that's,
Yep.
busy and bustling, and we can get all the entertainment we want. Obviously, no sports teams there.
No.
So that would be, like kind of like a bummer. If you wanted to see a football game, you'd have to go where?
Atlanta or Nashville.
Yeah. What's in Nashville?
The Tennessee Titans.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So
We can drive to Memphis to see the Grizzlies play in the NBA, but that's a schlep.
so that was like the downside for us was, that. But then, okay, so we're in Chattanooga. We're literally blown away by everything around us. And all we kept getting, he and I both, text messages, phone calls from everybody asking us, are you going to go to Ruby Falls? Well, the funny thing is that we really didn't plan on going to Ruby Falls because it's kind of, I think, a tourist trap. It's an underground cave with a waterfall. Okay, if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Have you ever seen one?
Yeah, cenotes in Mexico.
Okay. So I thought, like, Ruby Falls, really? Well, I'm in that shop, as I brought up earlier, talking to the woman that owned it, and I get a text message from somebody that asks, are you going to Ruby Falls? And I just start laughing, and I ask her, I'm like, so tell me about Ruby Falls. And she goes, ugh, what do you want to know? They hold a flashlight and you see water coming down a wall.
She said it was red flashlights in a cave, right?
Yeah, that's what she said. And she's like, don't bother.
Genius.
She goes, don't bother. And so, of course, when she said that, I was like, okay, we got to go now.
Yeah. We're all in.
Someone truly says, don't do it. I'm like, okay, now I'm there.
Yep. We
So
went.
talk about Ruby Falls.
So Ruby Falls, I did not realize how the trip was 2 hours total in and out.
Yeah.
I did not realize we were signing up for that when we were driving there. It wasn't until we were already there and captive that I found out this is actually a 2-hour schlep in and out of the mountainside.
Yeah.
And it's not sort of like self-guided. Well, let me say it's not sort of self-guided. It's not self-guided at all.
No, zero.
And I just thought, okay, it's like somewhere you walk and you walk around. Like, when you go see waterfalls, we went to see one in North Carolina near Bryson City way back when. You just sort of walk down the rail and you go check it out. And you get wet if you want to, and you don't if you don't.
That wasn't this.
No. This was us and maybe 20 other suckers just like us.
Okay, it wasn't that bad. You
In a
can't
group?
say suckers because it really wasn't that bad. It's a huge tourist place, for sure. But
I know, but I'm just putting you in my mindset of where I was at that moment when I'm standing in line and I'm like,
were you feeling like a sucker?
yeah, because they didn't even give us a flashlight. Like, your lady promised us flashlights.
She did say we're going to get a flashlight. She
We
said
did not.
everybody gets a red flashlight, and there were no flashlights.
No,
They had changed the rules.
they changed the rules.
COVID. Because
No,
everything is
it's 'cause
blamed
people
on
keep
COVID.
stealing the flashlights.
Right,
Can't
right.
trust anyone these days. Anyway, so, the tour begins. We go down an elevator with 20 other people, and we get to the bottom of the mine shaft, and it was really cool, like walking around in there. We start out the tour, she explains a few things, and we're going to be passing groups who are coming back, and we'll have to stand on one side of the little tunnel, and they're going to sneak by us and all that other stuff. And you know, it was good for the first way, I would say. We were able to take pictures. This guy, okay, so the quick story is this guy loved his wife and bought the top of this mountainside and like the property rights to this thing, this cavern, right? And he and his buddies decided we're going to make a thing out of this, like a tour. We're going to make a tourist trap out of this. And so they dug into the mountainside.
What does that have to do with the love of his wife? Where did the love of his wife come in?
Because doesn't he call it Ruby? Her name's Ruby.
But what does the love of his wife have to do with building this?
Well, because he loved it and he wanted to name his tourist trap after his beloved wife.
I thought, no. The story goes.
Is her name not Ruby?
No, it is Ruby, but she was from that area, and he bought the property so she could be back in Chattanooga. That's what I thought the whole story was about.
I don't think you were watching the video because I don't remember that.
I watched the video.
Okay. Did I fail to mention we had to sit through a 7-minute video before our 2-hour tour started?
Okay, so go ahead.
So anyway, we're walking through the caverns and everything, and it was cool. I mean, it was cool for like the first 20 minutes. And, you know, you get to take pictures. They show you a little diagram of, you know, sort of all the rock formations. There was like drapery rocks or whatever. It's just like the water melts the rock in such a way. So you get your, obviously, let's go back to science class, people. You get your stalagmites, you get your stalactites, and then you have all these other formations. And, you know, that stuff was cool. They had little names for certain ones, like one was called Angel's Wings or whatever. And that was all good.
Why don't we talk about...
We were having a good time, mostly.
The tight quarters.
It was tight.
The other group passing us, and what happened?
I'm leading up to that, yeah. Because it's tight quarters.
Very.
And the other group had to come through.
We had to plaster ourselves against the cave wall so they could make it through this little corridor.
Yeah. And some guy at the tail end decided that because he had Ebola in his bowels, that he was just going to like give us all a dust cropping. And that's exactly what he did. And you just saw it. It was like, you know how you're sitting in an arena and everybody does the wave and you see the wave coming around and you stand up when it gets to you or whatever. Think of the wave, only people crying and putting their hands over their face because this guy was going to die. It smelled like sick. It was gross.
Actually, I thought someone poo-pooed their pants.
He did.
So
I'm sure he did.
I was like, oh my gosh, but you guys, there's nowhere to go because we're in a cave. So where does this odor go?
The only way out of the stench was through it.
Yes.
Brutal.
So then I thought it was such a bad stench that it must have been an area of the cave that maybe had like sulfur coming through or something. Like I literally thought it was a natural gas.
We were at Hell's Gate. It just turns out Hell's Gate was this guy's bunghole, for crying out loud.
So anyway, we're walking and I'm like thinking it's a natural gas of some sort. There's no way that could be a person's odor. And then the tour guide goes, I want to apologize. I want to apologize for what happened back there. That person, wow, they're not feeling well. Or something like that she said. And I was like, it really was somebody.
Yeah. She was like, I'm not sure why he couldn't just wait until he was past us.
No, he could not. It was one of those things you were like, you kind of ate it. Because you're breathing and you have no idea it's about to come.
So nasty.
That's really all you remember from that cave, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there was one person who was really slow in front of us. She kept taking a photo of every single rock. And I was like, dude, can we move this thing along? Like I'm trying, when they said 2 hours, I'm like, I bet we can do it in 140. And
not with her.
Not with her in front of us.
Not at all.
So the first thing we did when we got to the falls was you and I pushed up against the rail so that we could see the falls when the lights came on. There's a whole presentation. You hear the water, you can't see it. And then they turn on the lights and everybody's like, wow, that's pretty dope. He must have really loved her to dig all this way, right? And so...
is that what they were thinking?
Yeah. And then the minute, after after taking one photo and sort of letting that waterfall thing, digest for 5 seconds, we immediately went to the back of the room where the cave was because we did not want the slow girl to get in front of us again.
Nope, we did not. That was my whole mission. All I kept thinking is when I get to this waterfall, I know there's going to be an opening. I need to get around this girl who is moving at a snail's pace. And she was, there was nothing wrong with her physically. She was just 35.
She was very fascinated by everything.
Yeah, and just wanted to take her time and did not care that there were 18 people behind her.
Yep. It felt like following somebody on the 405 down in that little cave. So all that to say, highly recommend you go to Ruby Falls, just not with the group we went with. It was cool. I mean, it's a little long. I get it though, because you do have to pull aside, and there were several groups, and then there were a few like different routes that the whole group takes. So
I was just laughing because like when people were texting me, "Are you in Ruby Falls?" It was like the most random group of people that would text me. It was like I was getting text messages from like family members who are super into touristy stuff, right? Like I think my brother and sister-in-law texted me, and they were like, "Oh, are you guys going to Ruby Falls?" And I'm like, "Okay, they do touristy stuff, so they would be into this as well." And then I would get I got text messages from like the most like people who I would never think, like my one friend who is like into like really obscure art, obscure music, and texts me and says, "Are you gonna go to Ruby Falls?"
I know. It's like everybody and their mother.
Are you kidding me right now? So we went to Ruby Falls.
Yeah, I highly recommend it, but
No, you don't. You
okay.
do not highly recommend
I
it.
moderately recommend it. My only suggestion to the people at Ruby Falls would be give us a group, like a time every day where it's just adult groups, because we also had that screaming kid on the way back. Like that kid.
Oh yeah, he did scream.
It was a wrap for that kid at like 90 minutes in, and we had to listen in the cavern to that kid screaming the whole, and those two ladies talking the whole time. So I don't know. I don't like group tourist things like that. I don't like enclosed group tourist things like that. I get a little claustro anyway. I don't need more people around me. Doesn't make me feel good. And then, we just had a batch that day. We had a batch of folks.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. There's our summation of Ruby Falls.
The snacks were good.
Were the snacks good?
Yeah.
Oh.
We had snacks, didn't we?
I don't remember having snacks. Maybe that's another tour you were on.
Oh, that was just me.
That was
Sorry.
A
I forget where you were when I had a snack.
That was with someone else.
No.
That was not with me. I don't know who you were with.
You said you didn't want any
gone
snacks.
For a while. I wonder who you were with. Okay.
I was enjoying some snacks. Oh, and they also have the
He might be doing a podcast by himself.
They have serve yourself beer things, the beer taps. That's pretty dope. So
all right, so Ruby Falls, waterfall, cave, and self-serve beer.
Here's the order: do the beer tap, and then do the tour.
There you go.
Without kids. Anyway, so what's your vibe on Chattanooga?
Oh, I loved it. The people there are really nice.
They are.
Lots of outdoor activities. You can go hiking. You can go whitewater rafting. There are plenty of lakes where you can literally go paddleboarding. I mean, we saw people on paddleboards. The food was good from what we experienced. I liked it a lot. Liked it so much, I want to do a long stint, like a 30-day. I think this could be the place. I'm pretty confident this could be the place. Here's something crazy. While we're there, my girlfriend calls me. I did not know this. She lives in LA. She's in the know. And she says to me, "Hey, I am with my friend and she wants to know what your thoughts are in Chattanooga. I know you're there." And because we had posted something on Instagram, a story that we were in Chattanooga. And I was telling her, I really love it. We were wrapping up our trip there and I was giving her all the reasons why I loved it. And, same as I'm saying here, the people are nice. You can get a house for a good price, plenty of acreage. The downtown is a downtown. I don't want to live in that downtown. It's not a downtown that I think anybody would want to live in. Again, lots of homeless.
Young people.
Maybe young people, but still, it's
condo, apartment people want to live there.
But it's quiet on the weekends. So for me, it wasn't like Covington, downtown Covington. That's where I would want to be, but not downtown Chattanooga. In any case, it had everything James and I could want. I mean, legitimately everything. And then she says to me, "Hurry up and buy, because word has got out in Hollywood that it's the place. So a lot of celebrities have picked up like acres and acres of land in Chattanooga. And I was like, can anything just be for normal people? Like, can anything, like, is there anything
Trust
for
fund
normal
babies
people?
ruining everything.
My God, so now I've got to run back to Chattanooga and buy a piece of property before, like, I don't know, Jennifer Gardner, like, buys a place and makes, like, a 30-acre farm.
I think that's wise, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it could pop off at any moment.
Absolutely 100%. Not even a question.
The best part about it is, from Apison, 20 minutes outside of the city, to another 20 minutes, and we could be like whitewater rafting.
I know.
In like, for real, mountain, like mountain nature.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It was, we were driving, we saw people whitewater rafting, like in, like, a river that was really dangerous.
The Chattahoochee.
Yes. I was like, oh my gosh, those people are crazy. But if we wanted to be crazy, we could do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a good visit. Okay. Well, so you could live there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, good. I'm glad you said that because I found another blue house on homes.com.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Could you live
Similar.
there?
I could absolutely live in Chattanooga. I love the fact, like, I'm not as iffy on the downtown area as you are. I wouldn't want to live there, but I could see us, especially when the girls come to visit, I could see us as a family spending a lot of time there. I love what you've done with the place, Chattanooga. I like the bricks, I like the iron, I like the wood. It's rustic, it's a train town. It's all those things that I like about like Old City, Knoxville and all that. So it feels like it's a city that appeals to guys as much as it does women.
I get that. The one thing I noticed though, as we're in Chattanooga, and I don't know if it's just a South thing, or if it's a Tennessee thing. Like, I don't know which one it is, but did you notice, like, everywhere we went, there was tons of pork on the menu and not a lot of beef? Because when we were in Texas, being in the South, Texas is more beef.
Brisket, yeah.
And is it a Tennessee thing with more pork, or is it a South thing? Because isn't Texas considered South too? I know it's like totally going off the rails, but
No.
I had to mention this.
Texas is not the
everywhere-
South.
I'm not a pork eater. I just not a huge fan. So I did find it challenging when we were in Texas. Isn't the South?
I mean, technically it's South, but Texas is Texas. It's its own thing.
Okay.
It's its own vibe. Nobody in Texas is drinking mint juleps.
That is true. Okay, but the point being is that I don't eat a lot of pork. And I did find it challenging while we were in Chattanooga. Every place we went to, even a barbecue place, it was just pork. Like, I had to get, like, there was not a lot of, there was no brisket. Like, I never found brisket on a menu.
I have a theory.
What is it?
It's easier to grow pigs on a mountainside. The cows fall over.
I don't think so. That can't be it. No, that's not it. Come up with something else. That can't be it.
That's all I got.
Oh, I was thinking more like that pork is cheaper, and the South sometimes, like there's more poverty in certain areas. That's what I thought. I thought it was an economical thing rather than a geographical thing.
Okay. Well, we both like Chattanooga, so there you go. It's on the map. We're going to spend a little time there from what you're telling me.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and we're gonna give it a good look. Maybe like do a month there, kind of what we did in Savannah.
Let's-
And what was that town?
Yeah, where is it? It's so important.
Guilford.
It's so important. It's so in the rearview mirror.
It is. When you can't get
Okay.
a house there, you kind of just say, okay, forget it.
Yeah. All right. So now that we've talked about that, I want to talk about something super important, and that is gay love.
Gosh, okay. Where the heck
I
is
read
even
this.
coming
I
from?
read this article in Newsweek. Newsweek's a magazine still.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because you can get it at the stands.
Okay, Newsweek magazine. And the article basically talks about how the servers for Grindr, the well-known gay dating app, right? Especially amongst gay men, right? The servers went down in a place where you would not have expected them to go down. What if you had to guess at all the recent events in the last 2 months? What do you think? Where would you say? Pick a city. Where would you think?
Well, it's got to be where there's like drag queen shows or like something that's very, like I would think like a New York or a Miami or something that's like the gay pride parade. Yes,
Okay.
I would think Grindr's servers would go down during a city's gay pride parade for sure.
Okay.
I know I'm close.
You're not close at all, actually. In Milwaukee, during the Republican National Convention, the amount of new anonymous users on Grindr during that time period was enough to freeze up the app in that area.
Oh yeah, I did not think that.
Yeah,
I was
you did
nowhere
not see
close.
that coming.
I know, I did not see that coming.
Yeah, so I'm going to read a few excerpts. Turns out I have it right here.
Okay, that's hysterical.
From the Newsweek article, love, or at least a spike of users on the gay dating app Grindr, was reportedly in the Milwaukee area this week while the Republican National Convention was in town. Over 1,000 users reported Grindr outage in the Milwaukee area around 4 p.m. on Tuesday, according to Down Detector, downdetector.com. Highly recommend if you think your internet service is ever out, it'll tell you. A website that collects online service information. The app also allegedly experienced problems in the Cream City on Thursday. Did you know Milwaukee was called the Cream City?
I thought it was the beer city.
I don't think it's officially called the Beer City. I don't think any
Really?
city is officially. I mean, we know it is a
thought it
beer
was the
city,
beer city.
but I don't think if you're driving into Milwaukee,
I thought
they're
it
like,
was the
"Welcome to
cheese.
Milwaukee, the beer city."
I thought it was also the cheese city.
It's the Cream City. And so the fourth and final day of the RNC, as well as Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York. However, Grindr's official status updates show that there hasn't been an outage since May. Until then, yeah.
They had a lot of users going on that app.
On a normal day, the Grindr user said he usually comes across maybe 10 users who don't show their face. He claimed he stopped counting at 50 anonymous profiles. Yeah.
Ooh, people were having fun during the RNC.
Newsweek has contacted Grindr for comment and has not heard back, but the buzz surrounding allegedly increased Grindr traffic in Milwaukee rapidly spread on social media. Even ex-Congressman George Santos, remember him?
Of course.
Yeah, from New York, who said he met his husband on Grindr, got involved. Grindr executives are calling the RNC convention the Grindr Super Bowl, Santos said in a video posted Wednesday. The trend is also not exclusive to the Republican convention. Grindr saw a reported 148% increase in traffic around Philadelphia's Wells Fargo Arena during a week of the 2016 DNC, Democratic National Convention.
Okay.
So anyway, I thought you would find that particularly interesting.
That is completely what I did not anticipate. I honestly did not know it was going to go there.
Anyway, you got anything else?
No, I'm so excited about looking for a place to stay for an extended stay in Chattanooga because I really think this is the place. I mean, like, this is it. Like,
We're going to the Noog.
We
They
are.
call it the Noog?
No.
The Nooga?
Nope, you just did that
There's got to
yourself.
be like a frat bro saying,
I'm sure if you don't find it, you
it's
will
not the
make one
chat.
up.
We have entered the chat.
Keep going.
Okay, sounds like you're done with me. Why don't you take everybody out? Have a good week, everyone.
Empty nest, full tank.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.